That's well said. That's definitely some food for thought for me. Unlike you, I am willing to admit that I don't have it all figured out.
Wow. That is what you got from that. Is your takeaway. Unreal.
Listen, when you make a good point and I'm not sure how to respond to it, I just attack. That's what I do.
It's so baseless. It is a baseless attack.
Welcome to the Bag Chatter Podcast. I'm your host, Bryan, joined, as always, by my co-host, a man who thinks he could shoot 75 at Augusta National tomorrow. Adam, how are you today?
I didn't say that. You're just literally putting words in my mouth.
Well, I thought maybe I would throw that out there and you would be like, actually, I think I could.
Do I think I could? It's within the spectrum of possibilities. It's not the most likely.
What do you think? What do you think you would shoot if we dropped you? Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not during round one of the tournament. What if you snuck out today? We're recording this on Wednesday, par 3 contest day. You snuck out there. They gave you a caddy maybe to help with some of the reads. Mm-hmm. You shooting 88?
I really don't know. I've never seen Augusta, obviously. Bucket list thing to just see it. I know the reputation. I'm like, yeah, I don't. I've heard though of people like going there and shooting not, in slightly lesser conditions, not crazy high scores. Obviously they've got it running like crazy for the Masters. I don't know. I feel like I could shoot 85 maybe. I have no idea though. I have no clue.
I think that's reasonable. On Monday they let media members play. There's a lottery media members can get into. Mm-hmm. And I have heard similar things, similar stories about, threw a handful of pars in there, had a couple of birdie looks, made a mess of a couple of holes. What a dream. It's just
a dream.
It's what do you think you have that's the only chance either of us ever have of playing Augusta, right? Yeah. I guess we could.
That's why we have this podcast, I think, in case it ever leads to an Augusta invite, right?
Or is there a better chance of us somehow befriending someone who is a member of Augusta National? Or are we just not that kind of people?
It's going to be a mix of both. It's going to be befriending someone and having, a podcast that leads to that invite is how that happens. Mm. And listen, if anyone out there is listening and has access to Augusta National, I've got one crisp Andrew Jackson for you. $20.
Wow.
You want $20, don't you?
You sure you want to put that out there?
I don't know. I'll pay it. I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it. I'll commit it right now.
I feel like one of us is going to win the lottery for tickets for next year.
You think so? Next year's the year, huh?
I think whenever that happens, sometime this summer, I believe, right? I think we're going to put in. I saw something around the internet recently that somebody said their mom or dad won and they only got one ticket. Ooh. And so somebody was like, hey, is this like the secret way to actually win the lottery is to only put in for like 1 or 2 tickets? And that got me thinking like, but I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I want to just put in for 1 ticket.
Do you want to make like a blood oath to each other that if the other wins, we bring the other person to the Masters, so we essentially double our lottery chances? I feel like it's you're the obvious pick for me, but I don't want to assume upon you. You have other friends, and I know that like you brag about it all the time. Have more than one friend, but I'm down for a blood pact. Is all I'm saying.
I think I'm going to put in 4 every time, and I think my dad is my number 1 choice, and then probably you. You're probably number 2. So
yes, that's all I do. That's all I can accept being behind your dad on the Masters list. That's totally fair.
Okay. You gonna watch a bunch of it this week?
Yeah, I'll watch. I watch the majors. I love the majors. I love the Masters. I forgot about the par 3 contest today. I was busy all day. Took the kids to the zoo. You know what? It's okay.
Look at you.
Okay. Did anything interesting happen?
No, I didn't watch it. I saw a clip of Gary Woodland making an ace and somebody else making an ace. And you know what? I didn't really care.
Yeah, no, I always enjoy watching it, but I'm not sad that I missed it either. You know?
Come Thursday, I'll be dialed in. If you're curious, Adam and I did a quick little draft over at our Patreon, the Bag Chatter Deli. And here are the teams that we have. I'm gonna out you for your terrible team right now.
Literally better.
Adam did have the first pick, so his team is Scheffler, Koepka, Spieth, McIlroy, Hovland, Wyndham Clark, Justin Rose, and Tiger Woods.
Tiger. You think I'm not putting $15 on Tiger Woods at 200 to win? 200 to 1 to win $3,000 this week? You're wrong. I'm not.
The emotional rush of Tiger winning, isn't that enough?
You know what would add to that emotional rush? $3,000.
Oh my word.
One more thing Tiger would add to my life.
This is truly, we're going to talk in this episode about how different we are. We are so similar in a lot of ways, and we are so different in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And like, literally, if Tiger was in a playoff against someone that I didn't like, I would bet so much money on the other guy, on the guy I didn't like, just to hedge. It doesn't work quite the same way at the beginning of a tournament, but right. Even then, I'm like, if Tiger wins, I'm going to be on cloud 9 for 2 weeks. Why would I throw $15 at that? It's not. The win is enough for me.
Yeah, I just don't get why you would take something that is an emotional high and you would literally cap it. You say, I'm actually going to decrease the ceiling a little bit. I'm actually going to take something good. Life, it can be hard in life to find those real highs. They're rare, right? And you're like, yeah, one of the times that could be a real high for me, I'm just going to skim off the top of that. I don't want to feel too much joy,
I'm increasing the floor, Adam, is what I'm doing. I'm taking the floor up a little bit.
You pathetic coward.
Am I a coward, or am I the smartest man who ever lived?
I mean, again, you're willing to live. We've said it 1,000 times. You want to live at a 5. And I don't want the 1s, but to get the 10s, you got to have the 1s too. That's how life works. I'm not taking crazy risks, but I am not emotionally hedging my bet so that I also feel a tinge of sadness when something great happened.
I wouldn't feel a tinge of sadness at all. It would just be a slightly lesser high. Anyway, before I forget, here's my superior team. I got John Rahm, Will Zalatoris, Xander Schauffele, Cam Smith, Hideki Matsuyama, Brian Harmon, Corey Connors, and Sahith Theegala. So we're going total prize money, and I'm gonna take that home. I'm gonna wear the head butcher apron. All right, let's switch gears from our Masters picks, which nobody cares about, to something that everybody cares deeply about: how we did in our last tournament. So far this year, we've had completely opposite experiences in our first 2 team tournaments of the season. In our Gap Winter Better Ball, we missed winning the tournament by 1 stroke off of the strength of Adam's 67 with a little help from my kick and birdie on 17. 2 weeks later, at the Mantooth Classic in Southern California, we shot a pair of frustrating 87s, which were bad enough to place us dead last in the net portion of the event. #good times. Now, there are a handful of individual events up next on the calendar, but before we get to those, we had one more team tournament to play. The Philly Publinks Spring Scramble at Kimberton Golf Club, a course Adam has played dozens of times, but I've only played once. It was a sunny but very windy morning about a week ago when we met there to put ourselves in the arena once again. And as we headed out, Adam let me know that we had pulled a pretty tough tee assignment. All right, we are starting off on hole 14, which may be, wait, what did you just say? Toughest opening tee shot?
Toughest shot. Toughest shot on the course right here.
Long par 3, then a par 5, then a par 3, then a par 5.
Yeah, the next 3 are easy. This is a even in a scramble. Hope we get out of here with a par situation.
All right. Well, let's get out of here with a par.
Okay.
Let's do it. We did not, in fact, get out of there with a par. The hole was playing about 200 yards into the wind, and we both missed the green, and then the best of our 2 mediocre chip shots left us with about 24 feet for par, and we couldn't convert. 1 hole, 1 over. We failed to make birdie on our par 5 second hole, and on the par 3 third, Adam's 30-foot birdie putt lipped out, leaving us with another par. All right, we're 1 over through 3. Not where we want to be, but we're on our 4th hole, par 5. Adam, tell them the game plan.
We're going to get this up and down for birdie, get it back to even.
And then?
Then we grind.
And we grind.
Then we grind. We're not grinding yet. We gotta get to even before you can grind, I feel.
Okay. All right, that's the plan. We'll update you in a minute. We both hit decent chips, leaving us 2 cracks at a 12-footer for birdie. Adam, what did we just do there?
Well, I'm just gonna say it's time to grind now. Okay. It's time to grind. So we got it up and down. It's time to grind.
Let's go. Was it time to grind? Yes. Yes, it was. Did we grind? No. The next 5 holes featured another bogey and 4 mundane pars. The conditions weren't easy, but in a 2-man scramble, it's not an excuse. We took the turn at 1 over, desperately needing something to happen. All right, so at the turn, we were 1 over and just kind of needed something to happen. On our 10th hole, par 4 into the wind, we were on the green in 2, about 22 feet away. Adam and I looked at the putt. Both felt confident in the read. I hit the putt, completely misread it. You'd think that Adam would learn. You'd think he would learn that he needed to start the ball on the right side of the hole, then on the left side of the hole. Adam, did you learn?
I did learn, yeah. I would hope I would learn from that.
He did. Amazing student, amazing putt, right in the heart, 22 feet. We are back to even with 8 holes left. Now it was time to grind. Now it was time to make our run. The leaders were about 4 or 5 under, but most of the teams on the leaderboard were right around even, including teams comprised of a few of the really good players that we knew who were playing. The 11th was a long uphill par 3, but after we both missed the green, I nipped a nice chip shot to about 4 feet, just above the hole. What happened next was so disgusting, I can't even talk about it. Well, I guess I have to. I gave the par putt too much respect, and it broke across the face of the hole. Adam did the opposite, and power lipped out. Another bogey. Dejection. Shame. Loathing. Any other adjectives, Adam? No. So stupid. So stupid. The next hole was a short par 5, and after Adam put us in great position with a crushed drive, we sat in the fairway waiting for our turn to hit our second shot.
From here for eagle.
What do we need? What do we need here, Adam?
We need to birdie this hole.
Okay.
We have to. It's a requirement. I just hit a good drive on a short par 5. We have like 180 in. We are 1 over par in a scramble, Bryan. We need to birdie this hole. We might need the eagle, honestly. We might need to get it up and down for eagle.
I want to ask John Sherman, Lou Stagner, and Josh Nichols.
I don't care what any of them think. We need a birdie here. If we don't birdie here, it's an unmitigated failure.
Okay, so this is what I have to deal with on a routine basis. Is this pushing me to be better, or is this holding us back? This is the question.
Bryan, we're in a scramble, and we're 180 yards out. If we can't get it down in 3 from here, that's a failure.
Yes, but is saying it out loud and putting the expectation and making it seem like the consequences, to me, it's making it seem like they're worse than they are. But to you, it's like, no, it's calling reality.
Yeah, we're just speaking about reality. It would be a failure if we don't get this down in 3. If it takes us 4 to get down in here in a scramble, I'd feel like it was a failure if I don't do it on my own ball. Mm. So if we don't do it in a scramble, it's a full failure. And I don't care who knows it.
How do you feel then about John Sherman saying you should have neutral expectations when you play golf?
This is a neutral expectation. Birdie is neutral from this position.
Okay, fair enough. As you can tell, I wasn't loving the fact that Adam kept imploring that we needed to make birdie. And he wasn't loving the fact that I wasn't agreeing with him. We might need to actually pull John Sherman into this argument, but we'll get to that later. We did make birdie on the hole, and back in the cart, Adam brought up the fact that despite playing 2 days in a row, his back was feeling great, which was probably the best thing that came out of the entire day.
Feeling very encouraged about the back.
Your back.
My back.
That's great.
Because I'm like, golf 2 days in a row. It's cold. I've been doing these exercises. I feel good. I feel good.
Would you have felt as good if I didn't hit that birdie putt?
Let's do the birdie part separately. I don't like that being.
No, we're using that. We made par on 13, and on the next tee box, Adam laid out the new plan. We've got 5 holes left. We're on a par 3. Adam just said maybe we close with 5 birdies. I told him to stuff it. He did not stuff it. I didn't stuff it either. In fact, I missed the green short. It was a pretty frustrating day for me outside of hitting a few long putts. The rest of the round was a microcosm for the whole day. We played the last 4 holes in even, with the lone highlight being Adam almost jarring an 8-iron for eagle. We made birdie there, but gave it back on the next hole. Actually, I say we made birdie there. It was totally his natural birdie. We ended up finishing even par, tied for 24th place out of 44 teams. A few days later, we jumped on the mics to break it all down. Adam, let's talk about the Philly Publinks Spring Scramble. I'm sure in the handful of days since we actually played it, you have been talking about it nonstop with family and friends and anybody you come across. So are you willing to talk about it one more time?
Yeah, I mean, I stopped a stranger in the street and I was like, I know you're thinking about it. Let's just talk about it. I knew you followed the live leaderboard the entire time. So, but yeah, I guess I'd be willing to dive back in.
As we just kind of detailed, not an impressive showing by us, not a memorable showing by us. Couple days later, looking back, are you just ready to never think about it again? Are there lessons to learn? How are you feeling?
It definitely, to me, was not like a low point. You know, it was not an embarrassing showing. In fact, maybe, you know, as podcasters and content creators, which is part of the reason we're doing this, right? It was the worst case scenario because everyone says, you know, oh, well, the bad stuff's, you know, great content, great content. Every time we hit a bad shot in San Diego, someone would say, hey, well, that's great content. You know, the worst content is T24 out of 42. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, just absolutely nothing happened. We just couldn't get it going. We, you know, had some bogeys in a 2-man scramble. That's going to hurt us. And it just, you know, we just couldn't get any momentum. I felt like I played fine. I don't know how you feel like you played. I feel like we played fine. And I feel like we definitely could have gone a couple strokes lower with the games we had that day. But it was just sort of nothing ever really materialized.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It was interesting that we were hovering basically in the middle of the pack the entire time. Like you're saying, like it wasn't like San Diego where it was like, hey, we're about to finish dead last. Like we need to do something. There was none of that vibe. But then we weren't really within sniffing distance of the leaders either. So you were kind of like, all right, well, here's what we need for top 10 or here's what we need for top 15, right. You know. Do you feel like you need that stuff to kind of stay in it and stay focused during the tournament, or is it more of a like afterwards? We didn't know a ton of people there, but we saw a couple people that we knew, and like everybody's like, "Hey, what'd you shoot? What'd you shoot? Oh, we finished even. We finished that." Like, how much of looking at the leaderboard and wanting to climb for you, is it about what's happening in the moment and staying focused? How much of it is like the story you tell after?
It's a true mix of both, where it's like, so yes, I absolutely, you know, I wasn't saying unrealistic things. I was sort of trying to encapsulate for myself what is still realistic. You know what I mean? So we were even and the leaders were like 8 under. And so I'm not telling you, hey, if we eagle the next 6 holes, we're going to be in the lead kind of thing. I'm saying, So I'm just kind of ignoring that. I'm just saying, okay, what can we do over these final 3, 4, 5 holes to improve the result of this? Because obviously this competitive journey we're on is something I've wanted to do for a very long time. And part of the reason you want to do that is to have an ebb and flow to a season and feel how a season of competing feels. And yeah, I want, in the chart of all these tournaments, I want our second team event. We went T2 in the first one. I'd much rather the second one be T11 than T24. That feels in the chart. If you're reading that chart, if we've got, we might on our website at some point have, past results kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want it to be dead middle of the pack. I want it to be, slip into the top 10, be top 15. Each of all those little things still matter to me, even when the win is gone.
Yeah. Hearing you say that, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's something I think I could take pride in as well. But in the moment, it's really not something that I think about or that on my own or that even motivates me. How do you
scoffed. I mean, you scoffed when I talked about it. I said something about like if we birdied 2 of the last 3, it would get us into the top 10 because it was that close of a margin. And you said something along the lines of, well, it's not going to change how I feel going home in the car either way. And I said, then why do this? Why do anything? Why do anything? If it is the only goal. So first of all, it would change how you felt going in the car. If you birdied 2 of the last 3 and finished T9 instead of T24, you absolutely would have felt better about your morning than you did at T24.
This is your problem. You think everybody's brain works like yours, and it doesn't.
Why compete? Like why compete if you're not going to have goals and take pleasure in either accomplishing them or approaching accomplishing them and building towards accomplishing those goals. We were further from our goal than we would have been at T9. And to me, I'm like, yeah, getting closer to the goal is satisfying and absolutely would have made me feel like our morning was more well spent.
Yeah, I just have other goals with these competitions. Like I have goals to try new things, to put myself in uncomfortable situations, do I want to win things and celebrate? Absolutely. Do I want to try to, lose with dignity? I'd rather lose with dignity than the opposite of dignity. But to me, it kind of felt like at that point in the round, couple holes left, maybe we can crack the top 10. Probably not. I feel like my goal for the day was accomplished. I came out, I competed, I gave it my best. We just it wasn't in the cards that day. It was still a lot of fun. I was playing golf with a friend. Mission accomplished. That's kind of how. But that almost sounds like I'm checked out of the competition, but I'm not, because I'm still trying my best on every shot. Maybe there is a level there of sort of, well, if I set another goal, if I try to make myself care about another little mini goal and then I don't hit it, well, then that's another little mini failure. Why would I do that to myself? I'm already pretty content with how things are going.
Right. I think my issue with your entire thing where you're trying
with
to
your entire personality,
who you are. Here's my problem with who you are, is that so we would both categorize this. I think even though you don't agree that some tournaments are more important than others, this was one of our smaller tournaments of the year. This was one of the less impactful tournaments of the year, and so it was pretty easy for you down the stretch to be like, doesn't matter. And you're hedging emotionally by saying it doesn't matter if we do well, if we do poorly, it doesn't affect anything on the way home. And I think that is you are turning down an opportunity for a competitive rep when you do that. So I've talked about, I know where my score is at all times. And so every time I'm on the 18th hole, it doesn't matter if I'm playing well. It doesn't matter if I'm playing poorly. I am trying to make a par or a birdie for a score. I'm like, okay, I like 74 so much better than 75. If I can birdie this hole and shoot 74, I'm not going to get angry if I don't make the birdie. But if I do, I'm going to have the feeling of I needed to do it and I did it. And I came up when I can almost get myself nervous, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost trying to get myself nervous. I'm trying to say this matters, you know, this absolutely, because does it matter whether I make par or birdie in that random round at Honeybrook with you? No, it doesn't matter at all. But I'm trying to get a competitive rep. And so when we've got a competition and it's like, it's not hard to at least pretend that like, okay, it really matters whether we get into the top 10 of this event. And you know what? For me, there will be a time when even you get nervous. Right? It's going to happen. You are not immune to nervousness. And so maybe it'll be the club championship. Maybe it'll be a member guest when a bunch of people are watching. Maybe you'll, outperform your expectations at an individual thing and you'll shoot really well on the first day and you're going to sleep on it and need to, play well the next day and you're going to feel some nerves about it. And my worry for you is that by declining all these chances for competitive reps, that is going to be rep number one of you being nervous and thinking it matters. And I'm like, it'll be rep number 300 of my year because I'm making everything matter as much as possible to myself.
Yeah, no, that's well said. That's definitely some food for thought for me. Unlike you, I am willing to admit that I don't have it all figured out.
Wow. That is what you got from that. Is your takeaway. Unreal.
Listen, when you make a good point and I'm not sure how to respond to it, I just attack. That's what I do.
It's so baseless. It is a baseless attack. I admit I'm wrong with you all the time. My gosh.
How would you, I'm curious, you're on record as saying you love live leaderboards, and when you have them, you go to them often. And I know why. I mean, you just kind of explained why. How would Sunday have been different if we if we played that way but didn't have a live leaderboard, so you didn't really know where we were? How would that have been different for you during that back nine, and then maybe at the end when you saw the leaderboard?
So whenever we play a scramble or something, and you always have that feeling of, so you make a little run on the back nine and maybe you lose by 2 and then you kind of go at the end, wow, we missed that putt on 17 and that really would have made a difference, or whatever it is. And to me, I prefer to know that at the time. I do hate that feeling. I hate the feeling of thinking something doesn't matter or thinking you weren't in it because, we thought this scramble you were going to have to shoot 15 under, but you only had to shoot 11 under to win. And so we thought we were out of it at 9 under, but we weren't. And I do think people, when they think they're out of it, lose focus and do things differently. And so I just always want to know. And so yeah, I mean, listen, I understand your argument that I'm trying as hard as I can regardless. So yeah, we wanted to birdie those holes to the same degree, whether we knew where we were on the leaderboard or not. But I do think there's a level of focus that comes when it's like, okay, this matters. You could argue that it's detrimental. To me, it's not detrimental. To me, I focus in when we know we need something, and I feel like it's just universally beneficial to know what we're doing and where we are.
But you're saying it's beneficial. Maybe in the short term, it might be detrimental, but it would be beneficial for the long-term gain, that I'm putting myself in these situations purposefully just to get better.
Because there will, yeah. So I don't think at this point for me, it is detrimental. I think I have, if anything, I don't really struggle with feeling like casual rounds don't matter, but I have over the last few years started to play better. I feel more confident going into a bigger round that matters to me, that I will play at least okay, because I know my focus will be there 100%, And so I like something that draws me in and just guarantees that I will be focused 100% of the time. So anything that gets me closer to that. And then, but yes, I understand that for some people it could be detrimental in the short term, but there will be a time when you will know exactly where you stand, exactly what you need, and you will be nervous. And I think it is, you want at that point that muscle to not be atrophied.
Yeah, I think you do raise a lot of good points, and I'm going to take them, and I'm not going to attack you. But I will also say that I think there are some people who, and I'm not saying this as you, but some people get themselves maybe too worked up about anything, and not even the biggest rounds. And some people are striving for more of a neutral emotional reaction that I already have in most of my golf rounds. Now, in some of the bigger stuff, does that come back to bite me? I think you're right. It does. I mean, we talked about this last year with the Gap team matches, and these are things that I clearly care about. And a lot of it, honestly, is due to the fact that I'm playing for the club, not just myself. I'm on, a 12-person team. I'm away at another club with 5 other guys, and I don't want to let them down. And so I can't pretend that doesn't matter to me. And now suddenly I'm in a position that, maybe I'm usually not in. So I think that's true. But at the same time, it is a very good match with my personality to just try to maintain neutrality as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. You're trying to stay at a 5 emotionally. Maybe that's why you're staying at a 5 handicap wise. You know what no. Delete that. Actually, that's not.
Oh no, that's the cold open. That's the cold open.
I think the other thing I'm trying to do with this stuff is so in this season, right? So I talked about wanting to see the ebbs and flows, seeing the chart of my results in consistent tournaments. The other thing I want to do is elevate where I feel comfortable, if that makes sense. So you just talked about the gap matches, right? And you're like, that's maybe one of the things that makes you nervous. And I'm like, well, a couple of years ago, I was extremely nervous for the Honeybrook Club Championship. I felt like not many people had seen me play there. I really wanted to show that I belonged among the better players at Honeybrook. And then, but at this point, 2 years later, I'm not nervous. I won't feel any nerves about the club championship. And I think that's exciting because I've played bigger tournaments. So it's if I'm playing in these US Open qualifiers, I want to always play something that makes me overtly nervous. And if I'm playing in those, then the things that used to make me nervous are going to feel smaller and feel more neutral. I think we are trying to get to the same goal of not being nervous when it matters. But we're going about trying to get to that place in completely different ways. So I'm just I'm purely excited for the club championship. I don't get a pit in my stomach about that. But US Open qualifier, I've done one of them, and now I'm doing another, and there is a pit in my stomach a little bit when I think about it, and that excites me that there's still that thing that gets me there.
Yeah. And I think the other thing for me to have you consider is that, as we talked about in episode 1 of this season, we just have a different mindset when it comes to competitions in general. We both love the game of golf. We both enjoy practicing. We both enjoy the grind, but it has not been something on my radar for the last 20 years of my life to want to do well in these things. So it's not like I'm suppressing some urge that I've always had where I want to do something great in a bigger tournament. It's just, it hasn't always mattered to me. And I think I can get to a place potentially where it does matter to me. There's a lot in golf that matter to me. Yeah, we've already been over this. There's a lot I want to get better. And I know for you, it's the ultimate test is test your game in these bigger things. And, we don't need to rehash that whole thing again, but
I think my temptation, but I'm not going to give in to the temptation, is that when you say, basically I don't care that much, I'm like, then it doesn't matter what you do. Just do whatever. It's It's fine. It's fine. Sure. Just, if you're satisfied with whatever the results are, then it's fine. Maybe you just love bird watching or something. Is that what it is? Has bird watching snuck up on you? I feel like bird watching is a hobby that sneaks up on you. You're 20 and you're like, I would never be a bird watcher. And then maybe you hit 40 and you're like, ooh, a warbler. Look at that. And I'm like, we're golfing here, Bryan.
Listen, I think some people are wondering maybe if I love the game more than you do. And you're addicted to competition and chasing highs. And I'm the one who actually is fine just going out and playing around with nothing on the line. I'm just putting it. I've been getting the emails about it. I'm just putting it out there now. I don't think
anybody's thinking that. And if anyone's thinking that, if anyone's is hearing us and thinking, well, Bryan really loves the game and Adam's, just a competition addict, you let us know. You let us know.
Where do we go from here? We've got some individual and some team competitions coming up. What's the next thing on your calendar? The next important thing?
So the Gap team matches do start soon. So we are less than 2 weeks away from those. So that'll be every Sunday for 3 weeks. I'm going to enjoy kind of building into the season with those. I've got the Gap Mid-Am qualifier coming up, my first real individual competition. And then we haven't really talked about it. I then have a US Open qualifier May 6th. So that's the back half of April, early May is big stuff incoming.
Yeah. We're getting into some individual stuff. We're going to put the team stuff aside here for about a month or so before we pick up with some fun stuff in the middle of May. More to come on that.
Do you have any individuals on the calendar yet?
For myself?
Yeah.
I'll be playing in weeks 1 and 2 of Gap team matches for Team 2 of Honeybrook, which I'm excited about. I have not registered for any individual events as of yet.
This is not confirmed, but it is very likely happening at this point. You're not playing the member guest, correct?
Probably not. Probably not.
My brother Grant is coming up to attempt to defend our title in the member guest. And then that night we are probably going to take off for New Hampshire. And I am going to play the New Hampshire State Amateur Qualifier in the state where I grew up. It's the tournament that Tony Palanza played that I admired so much. And so I'm doing the necessary handicap stuff. I am going to enter this. It's on the first golf course I ever stepped foot on. So I'm going back to my roots, June 23rd, very possibly here, and entering the Granite State Amateur Qualifier.
Wow.
How do you feel about that?
I couldn't be rooting harder for you in a tournament than I would be in that. For you, I'm glad you corrected Tony Palanza's name. I think in episode 1, we called him Gary accidentally.
Yep. That's on me. That is on me.
Yeah. But for you the inspiration for young Adam, for you to then step onto the grounds and qualify for the New Hampshire State Am, that would be with Grant on the bag for you potentially.
Very possibly. Yes.
Gosh, sign me up for that. That would be amazing.
So it's not 100%, but I'm making moves. I'm making moves, Bryan.
While the topic of competition will remain a theme throughout this entire season, we do want to be careful not to rehash the same conversation over and over and over again. With that in mind, we decided to phone a friend and call on someone I had a little history with. You see, 5 years ago, back in April 2019, I had a guy named John Sherman on my Hosel Jockeys Golf podcast to talk about how to play better golf. At the end of the conversation, when I asked him about my recent case of the putting yips from outside of 25 feet, this is what he had to say.
I've found that, particularly in the short game, a change whether it's a change in technique. I've changed my putting grip, both the actual grip on my putter. I've gone to very large ones. I've changed the way I hold the putter. I use a pencil grip now. I think making a change like that can help because it's kind of a clean slate mentally and technique wise. So it kind of takes you out of those prior, that framework of where the bad stuff was happening and puts you in a new framework.
John's advice worked. I switched to the claw grip and instantly the yips were gone. I'm still putting that way to this day. Fast forward 5 years and Adam and I decided to call on John once again, this time to help us figure out how we could increase our chances of winning tournaments this year without checking out or burning out.
If this is like an important outlet in your life, that's my biggest fear with all this stuff, is that it stops being that great quest and then it becomes like an anvil that sinks you.
If we want to win something this year, specifically a team tournament, we're going to have to figure out how to be better together.
You guys are kind of like on different ends of the spectrum where we're like, we probably need Bryan to maybe put a little bit more pressure on himself for results. Like that could be a good thing for him to feel that discomfort. And maybe Adam, we need to like take you down a notch from like, hey, we got to birdie this hole, and then kind of balance you out in the middle. But you're still trying to get to the same place where it's like, how do I tee up in this thing and not be a psychopath?
That's a great question, John. And we'll get all of his answers this Thursday on episode 5. See you then. Thanks so much for checking out the Bag Chatter podcast. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and you already know how to subscribe to podcasts, so I'm not going to waste your time. You can find us on all the socials at Bag Chatter Golf or Bryan Lane Golf, and you can check out everything we have going on at bagchattergolf.com. If you want more content from me and Adam, check out the Bag Chatter Deli. That is our Patreon, where we only serve the choicest portions of 4-ball ham and the leanest cuts of bone meat. For $5 a month, you get to support the pod, and you get a weekly episode of our Friday supporter-only podcast, Cold Cuts, Hot Takes. You can find that at patreon.com/bagchattergolf. You guys are the best. Thanks so much for listening.